I'm just broadcasting to YouTube. Come on. Right, that's it.
Are we live now? Are we live on YouTube?
We're live on YouTube now, and I'm just about to broadcast to the channel. And that's it. So we're live. So welcome everybody. So this is Dave and Toby, the meanest team in the industry. So we'll just give it sort of 30, 60 seconds for those of you that have I've just opened the door and let the floodgates pour in. Anyone who's watching on YouTube, big hello wherever you are in the world. Hope you get something out of this. I'm sure you will. You always learn when you join these things. So we'll wait generally sort of another 30 seconds. Yeah, they're starting to fill up now. People have clicked enter the room.
Excellent.
A sip of my coffee.
Let's pack them to the rafters.
Let's pack them out. Okay, good. So yeah, 1 minute past. So those of you that are watching on YouTube, any questions, email webinar@dvs.co.uk. Any questions you've got around this solution and the delivery of it, again, webinar@dvs.co.uk. Hello, Phil. I've just seen you say hello. Hello, Phil Jackson, TSI, great man. So yeah, so we'll run through the product. To my left is the left I'm looking at it. To my left is Toby. Toby's the meanest person you ever know. Very technically au fait and a very great asset for Calipsa to have. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to introduce sort of how we got to know Calipsa and what it does for us. I'm going to hand over to Toby. He's going to run through a presentation. It's not death by PowerPoint, which is really nice. And then we're going to finish up with just an overview of the system, how easy it is to use, the kind of level of detail the reporting you can get out of it, and then any questions or answers at the end. So for us, we sort of started talking to Calipsa 2 years ago now, just over 2 years ago now. It was kind of a revolution to the industry where everybody else was starting to look at false alarm reduction technology via hardware on site. And that was very new to Hikvision and to other vendors at the time. Calipsa came in and sort of went a different way and said, well, we can do that and we can do it in the cloud. So you don't need any specialist equipment on site. It's really adaptable, really easy to program and to add devices and then to tailor them as they move forward to adjust the areas. And as the algorithms improve, everybody made benefit of that. So that's the beauty of a cloud system. You know, these traditional hardware systems, again, they're really effective and can be very great, but again, it's the constant firmware updates, the remote access, etc. So I think Calipsa came in with this really cool new way of doing stuff with AI. AI is like a buzzword now. We're all used to it. We all understand what it does. And their cloud platform really does take AI to the best extent that I've seen it. I haven't sort of seen anything that rivals it. So my hat's off to Calipsa because their technology really is fantastic. For those of you that are watching that don't know a little bit of know who Calipsa are, Toby will run through that shortly. But the essence of it is a cloud-based platform that allows us to send alarms from our Hikvision NVR DVR, if you're buying from DVS, or if you're a third-party system, you can also link up to the platform of theirs. It will take that event, look at it, run it through their AI engine, which has always been adapted, improved, etc. And then if it's what we deem as a verified alarm, it will then either push it to a monitoring station, whether it be an ARC. So IMIX, for instance, we're using IMIX today. Well, that's what I tested my platform with, but other platforms are available. Sentinel, it could be your installer that monitors product for your customer base. So you have a lot of their sites that you monitor. You really want to reduce the alarm capability or the alarms coming into your office to allow your operators to really focus on the alarms that need that attention, which is really, really important. So you're reducing that operator workload and really concentrating on the stuff that really needs that attention instead of switching off and then just clicking stop and essentially ignoring them at the end of the day. I'd say that was sort of a fair statement to make. So if you're in that arena and you don't have IMIX or Sentinel specifically, you know, you can still use this platform to help you in that arena. And again, it really, really is. The costing model is based on per camera, again, based on volume. If there's something you need to tailor, speak to DVS or Calipsa Direct, and there's something that we can always work with. But it's a per camera, per cost sort of license base, and it is very cost effective compared to a different offering that may be hardware led. So that's sort of how we got into it. AI really excites me. It's what I get out of bed for, essentially. So that's why we chose to get on board early with Calipsa, because we really felt there was value, true value in what they do. It wasn't just a gimmick. It really is delivering that core false alarm reduction that people are looking for. And they're doing very, very well out of it. Toby will probably fill you in a little bit, but there's a lot of monitoring stations already making use of this technology in the UK. So you may or may not know that they're implementing that technology even for their own workload saving. So it really is a truly powerful solution. So I think if I hand over to you, Toby, and you can go through your slide deck.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. I think you've already pretty much sold it all there. You've left me nothing to say. Very concise. But let me just share my screen with you all now, and let me take you through a little bit more information about Calipsa and the work we're doing with DVS. So I am the business development manager at Calipsa. My name's Toby Weatherall. Lovely to meet you all tuning in today. Thank you so much. And so Calipsa is a London-based AI company that was founded in about 2016 by our CEO Rashid Khan and our CTO Boris Ploy. Just to give you a little bit of background on sort of how they came to look at the security industry. Originally, they came together. They have masters in engineering, applied mathematics, and they took a look at sort of surveillance in general. And the way that sort of governments were using it, cities were using cameras to evaluate vehicles, people, and then they sort of turned their gaze to the biggest issue in the security industry of false alarms. So they saw that there was this burden, and they decided to find a sort of AI technological solution to this problem. And so that's what we've all been doing for the past 4 years. And so that's what we turned our attention to, which is that false alarms are one of the biggest burdens in the security industry. I think I'm preaching to the converted here. Everyone who's logged on now will know that false alarms are a huge issue for every sector, every part of the industry, from the top down. Installers, monitoring stations, distributors, it's all an issue. So false alarms, as we all know, about 95% of all the alarms are actually nuisance alarms. It's all the noise, and really not a lot of those alarms are very actionable. So everything, of course, from spider webs to trees waving around, rain coming in. I'm sure everyone has their kind of pet, hated cause of alarms. That's what we've kind of turned our attention to. And so we created our false alarm filtering platform. So this is completely 100% cloud-based, as Dave was mentioning, which will be music to many of your ears because it means that there's no more hardware involved. So I think there's plenty of hardware going around, but for us, it's completely in the cloud. And that means that upscaling, downscaling for any of your sites is super easy. So it's literally at the click of a button, you can add a site, you can take them away, and you can really manage your sites in a very quick and easy way. So what that also means is there's no hardware going in, but you can leverage your existing infrastructure. So any hardware that you currently have that we're compatible with, you'll be able to use in conjunction with our cloud-based solutions. So you would literally just slip Calipsa right in there. You don't need to go to any sites. You don't need to configure any difficult kind of hardware capabilities. You're just using straight away our platform through just clicks of buttons on a very easy to use platform. And that kind of leads us to our 30-second setup, which is, let's say you're setting up a Hikvision NVR on our platform. You literally just need to have your IP, ports, username and password used to log in already. And I've got it down to about 10, 15 seconds to add a site on Calipsa. It's super quick, and it just means it's going to completely revolutionize the way that you put in NVRs and the way you set up your sort of analytics for those sites. The way that we actually do this is that we sit between the motion triggered alarms. So your NVRs are sending their alerts, sending lots and lots of alerts, and mostly they're not of any use. And we intercept those alarms as they come in. And our algorithms then determine whether there's human activity from the frames that we're sent in the alarms. And if there is, then that gets passed on to your monitoring station partner for review, because obviously we're still at a point where any alarm that contains human activity should be reviewed by a human. And that's what's important to us at Calipsa as well, is that there's still always going to be a human element where you're going to have operators who need to continue to do their jobs to review alarms, but we're just sending them true alarms that contain human activity, which they can actually use to action. It's actually important to them, and they can kind of figure out what's going on site. But what that does mean is that any alarm that doesn't contain human activity, we filter out as a nuisance alarm, as a false alarm, and those are the alarms that the monitoring station isn't going to see. So we filter out 90% of those false alarms, and it's just getting rid of all those alarms that are caused by the usual offenders. So spider webs all over the cameras, I'm sure, is the number one. Then just rain, poor weather, where suddenly your site activations jump up. We're going to take care of all those major problems coming from those sites. So let's look at the benefits of what that means for yourselves as installers. Well, first of all, obviously, we're getting rid of 90% of those false alarms. So all your problem sites that are doing your head in, that you're constantly worried about because you've got false activation caps maybe, and you've got your top 5 offenders that you're probably thinking of right now. We are going to suddenly make them, viable sites. We're going to stop them from being a major issue. And what it also means for you is that, time is money. And when you're going in to put in new sites, you're not putting in hardware for analytics anymore. You are going in, you're putting your cameras in as you would normally, and then you're just linking them to Calipsa, over the portal, and it's all done easily on the internet. So you can do it remotely as well once you're set up. You don't have to do it on site. And it just means you're not putting in, a gateway for every 8 connections that you might have on the site. And then suddenly you've ended up with 10 gateways on a site to just take care of about 40 cameras. And as you'll all know, these things occasionally break, or they need to be reviewed, and you need to go back maybe once a week. And I'm not sure we'll have the time. Also means that false alarm management in general becomes less of a problem for yourselves. You're going to spend a lot less time on site, returning to sites, and then you can just focus on new business, putting in new installations and carrying on, and obviously building your site base. Other benefits also, you could reflect in your margins and customer satisfaction. So no more missed incidents, because we've suddenly taken out 90% of the volume of the alarms. So that means that the operators are looking at true alarms, and that they can react to something that they see, that minute. So they don't have a backlog of 1,000 alarms from one site, where 999 are, spider webs and leaves. They're actually looking at human activity in those alarms, and they'll be able to see there's someone on site, and they can send someone that moment to actually stop them in the act, rather than catch them 2 days later when they finally get to that alarm. Another thing as well that's useful is that there's always competition in securing sites in it's a difficult market as an installer. So you can stand out by saying we do employ deep learning AI analytics, and it's cloud-based. There's no hardware on site to be stolen or broken. So you're just going to stand out in general, that it shows that you are at the cutting edge of tech, and you understand sort of where the industry is going. And in the process, you're going to become more profitable, because you're spending less money on hardware, less man hours spent on people going back to sites that you don't need to be doing that. So in general, you're going to improve your margins and overheads simply by spending less money on actual more hardware products, and spending more time looking at new business, taking on more sites.
I think it's also important to add at that point is, as your cloud algorithm improves, and everybody sees the benefit from that. So you're not continually updating devices on site to get the new sort of libraries or databases or algorithms. You're doing that work for them. So it really does take you a lot away from that installer channel, for them having to invest in that time to do it.
Absolutely. So you mentioned firmware before. You do not need to manually update a version 2.0 every single time for every single bit of hardware. We are constantly improving in the background, but you're never going to know about it. We're never asking you to download this zip file, do this, do that. We're taking care of all of that, and we are constantly building and improving on the product. So we're actually quite excited. Our dashboard's going to be completely reinvented very soon in the coming months. So, because we are a sort of tech startup company, we are constantly building and improving. We're not set in a rigid way. We're able to take feedback from everyone and immediately put that back into the product. So we have product meetings once a month, and we're constantly discussing internally as to how we can kind of improve the product. So what you get now is fantastic, but it's just only going to get better. And the information itself, the algorithms, they're constantly learning. So that actually leads me on to our deep learning algorithms, which is all based on a neural network where it's constantly learning. So it is said that it's modeled basically on the human brain. And where we differ from sort of strictly rule-based analytics is that we're not sort of set in our ways. So because we're always feeding back into the neural network, the algorithms are constantly learning and improving. So there is an ability on our platform as well to, label alarms to say it's true or false. And each of those labels goes back into the neural network for it to learn and improve. And if you think we're using over 50 plus monitoring stations at the moment who have Calipsa, and all their alarms, we receive somewhere in the region of about 3.5 million alarms a day. So all those alarms feed back into this neural network, and the algorithms just get stronger and learn from there. So that's what our algorithms are doing. They're determining human activity, labeling them as a true alarm, and then all the noise falls away as false alarms. We're not just a sort of filtering platform in that respect as well. Along with the Calipsa platform comes a lot of really useful features that installers can use. So a lot of data comes from alarms that are passing through from the MVRs. And it's not always easy to capture that data. But what the Calipsa platform allows you to do is to take in all those alarms and then turn them into advanced reporting. So what that means is that you can see right down to the camera level exactly how many alarms have been sent from a particular camera. So let's say you have Mr. Davies' house and you have the front yard camera. We can see 1,000 alarms have been sent from that camera. 200 of those were actually true alarms of Dave walking around. And the rest is all noise and nuisance alarms. So you can also see the percentage of the false alarm reduction on each down to the camera level. So as you can see in the middle there, there's a bar chart that sort of shows at a glance the amount of alarms and the reduction. And then below that, you've got a complete comprehensive list of every camera that you have coming through the platform, the amount of alarms, the true alarms, and the reduction. And that can all get pulled into a kind of CSV report. So you can review that. And you can also get sent every morning an automatic report of all your sites. So I know it's very important for installers to keep an eye on how many alarms are coming from sites. And I'm not sure how easy that has been to do until now, unless you get a kind of independent reporting tool. But we offer this as well as the false alarm reduction. So advanced reporting is on our platform. We also have a sort of free health check where on our dashboard, you will see a list of idle cameras. What that means is that any camera that hasn't sent an alarm for 24 hours, it will populate in this list. So let's say you're doing your morning check, you've got your automatic report that's come in, then you check the dashboard for the idle cameras and you see, oh, Charing Cross Battersea Construction, that hasn't received an alarm for one day from D3. I should probably check that out. Maybe the video loss has gone down, maybe log into the MVR and have a look. But it's just empowering you to understand what's happening on site. So if you do have to return, it's for a good reason and you know exactly which camera you're going to. You have specifics to work with. We also offer masking and scheduling on the platform. So every camera that adds itself will add itself with a snapshot of the scene that it's looking at. And then you can add masking directly onto that snapshot. You can do as many masks as you like. And as you can see there, you've got the red squares. Anything behind those red squares, any alarms that come from there will be classified as a false alarm by our algorithm. So it's another way to further cut down false alarms. And MVRs are great, and you can mask in there as well, as I'm sure you're all aware. But this is really user friendly. It's like, 4-point click, the mask is on, save it, and you're done. So you can mask your entire site in about 5 minutes. So that's there for you as well. And if you need to, you can schedule on particular sites as well on the platform. So to tell Calipsa to not receive alerts during a specific time period. So there's sort of camera management there as well as alarm management. Supported camera brands. We basically support most camera brands, but any that can send an alert via SMTP, via email, and sends at least 3 frames, we can then perform our filtering on those alerts. So as you can see, lots of major camera brands on there, but we are essentially camera agnostic. So key facts to take away is that we are currently at 90% reduction in false alarms. That is being improved on all the time. So we have machine learning engineers who are constantly running tests to improve that, and slowly the reduction will continue to creep up. So if you're getting Calipsa now, you're getting 90%, which most people are pretty happy with, but it's not going to stop there. We're going to keep, slowly edging it up as close as we can. Our detection rate for true alarms is as high as it can possibly be for AI technology at 99.95%. Processing of alarms is between 1 to 3 seconds, so pretty negligible. You're not really going to notice any sort of delay in alarms passing through the platform. We also have 30 days free alarm storage, which means that you can review every alarm that's come in from your sites on the platform, and it'll remain there for 30 days. You can download any alarms that are of interest. If you have any issues or you need to review and send to a client or to the monitoring station, you can do that there. And as Dave mentioned at the beginning, we are integrated into IMIX, Sentinel, and WebEye. So just check with your monitoring partner as to what they're using. But we are seamlessly integrated into those platforms. And finally, an important one for a lot of people is we are backed by insurance. So if for whatever reason Calipsa misses an alarm and it's our fault, we will pay out for the insurance claim for that particular event. So that's a kind of final peace of mind to say, we will take liability if it is our fault. So we are always striving as a company to build a safer world, and that's always been our CEO and CTO's outlook from the very beginning. So we're just constantly trying to improve our technology to help with better crime prevention, and essentially just making the security industry as good as it can be. So for any kind of questions that anyone has after this, please do get in touch with your DVS sales rep, or of course get in touch with me at Calipsa, and I'd be happy to give you a call, talk you through how it works, and answer any sort of questions that you might have.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. I think that should have answered a lot of the questions that people may have wanted to know answers to. Is really powerful, nice and concise, not death by PowerPoint. So what I was going to do now is just, if I share my screen, so let me just make sure I got the right one. Move this out of the way. Okay, so I've shared my screen now. You should be able to see it. So the way I wanted to actually show you this, obviously I've used IMIX as a test bed, not just for this, but for several things. Really great platform. But what I wanted to show you specifically was the Calipsa actual interface into our system. So this is my dashboard, so the DVR dashboard. This is where I have all of the device that I'm showing you today added. So you can see when I log into the dashboard, you've got that overall snapshot. If I just move this out of the way there. So you've got an overview snapshot very quickly of the detail of how the system is performing for you. So in the last 30 days, it's actually showing me that I've filtered or 12, nearly 13,000 alarms essentially. And considering I have a lot of cameras on this building, that's quite a lot of alarms that are going through. And some of them are going through on VCA, so line crossing or intrusion, and some of them are just plain motion alarms. But you can see the platform really is sort of how that breaks out up. You can click on each day, it'll give you the detail. You can break it down to 7 days, 6 hours, 12 hours, whatever that detail is that you really want to sort of focus on to see how the platform's performing for you. And again, moving through the dashboard, there's lots of stuff. So I've got my client there. So one camera hasn't sent an alarm for over 5 months. That camera doesn't exist anymore. It's actually been replaced by a different camera, but the platform is still telling me this camera hasn't received an alarm, or the platform hasn't received an alarm from this camera. You know, maybe it's something that you need to investigate. So it does give you some real data that you can sort of exploit there. And you can see there from my client, the one DVR site office, I've got the 5 most alarming cameras, and it's probably typical of like the entrance to compounds, etc., where most of the foot or vehicle traffic resides. And then moving through, you've got the client. So it's as simple as this, like Toby explained earlier. So I've added quite a few cameras to this already, but if I pick one camera, for instance, so this is an external camera. So recently, when I sort of retweaked the settings to add it back to the platform with some new camera technology, it took the image snapshot. And again, that was a false alarm that would have generated this snapshot at that time. There's no sort of reason why that came through. And I've simply drawn that mask area. So that red mask area there, it's the street outside. I'm not interested in any activity in there. And it's as simple with the mask. You just click on draw mask or edit it, and you just like sort of 4-point click, like you said, and draw that area. And it is as simple as that. Click save, and the mask is there. And you can sort of fill that image up with as much mask detail as you want. Refresh the camera image. Now, if you click refresh camera image, that image won't be there until another alarm comes through. So if there's an inactive site and you want to see the image to draw on, then you click refresh, then you have to wait for another image to be updated from an alarm, but that's not too bad. Or you can delete the cameras. And again, it's as simple as going through your camera technology, choosing the ones that need the mask, like that, for instance, and anything in here will be sort of filtered out as appropriate. There's a lot of footfall and vehicle traffic through this compound, so the level of activity is quite high for a relatively small compound. But again, you can have this with all your clients and sites added and named, etc. So very, very simple to use. And then the report inside, like we said, you can actually run the report directly from the web browser, but I've actually set an automatic report up. So every day from this site, it'll give me a PDF report, which actually looks like this. So every day, every morning, I'll get this kind of report level where it tells me the cameras, the sites, the clients, number of filtered alarms and the percentage of the filtered alarms, nice graphical imagery, some details. So again, I could have that across all my sites every day to give you that snapshot of like what is happening, how the platform's performing, sort of really interact with your customer and their site and sort of give you that peace of mind, really. So the platform is really, really powerful. One thing we didn't touch on, which I can't really show, to be honest, through here, but I will show you, is there's also a Calipsa phone app.
Oh, yes.
But it's very difficult to show that on a screen share because I don't share my phone screen. But there's an app for your phone as well. So I've enabled the option so I could log in and sort of get some detail from there. But again, the platform is very
available on the App Store as well, Dave, isn't it? So
it's available on the App Store, iOS and Apple, iOS and Android, sorry. But again, your automatic reporting, or you can just do the summaries, and you can actually do stuff from here, select everything, go through all the cameras. You can sort of start seeing really everything, you know, from the platform directly or through the automated report. The automated report I found really powerful. It allows me not to interact with the platform and that I'd have to do historically. I just get that data, look at the PDF, and I'm sort of happy that that's performing. The simple essence of this is, if I just do this one here, if you are using a Hikvision device, it's as simple as this. If I can remember the password, that is.
Don't lock yourself out.
I want to lock myself out. Within the network settings of the Hikvision device, and again, other devices are going to be very, very similar. Under the network settings, advanced, under the email settings, there's all my Calipsa details. So if you're used to putting those details in for IMIX anyway, that's very familiar. Sentinel IMIX, you're very familiar with how this works. And again, it's just there, which then would forward the alarms to our platform or to their platform. And then under clients, if I wanted to send this onto the monitoring station, you've got all of your details there, which you fill in applicable to there. And that's the NVR settings of how you add your NVR to the, or our NVR to the platform. It's very, very simple to do. That's really all about it that I wanted to show you physically hands-on. The client Really, really powerful. The system is phenomenal. The feedback we get from the customers who already use it, the monitoring stations we interact with. I think that, given the given climate now, they're very thankful that, your platform is alleviating their workload, let's say. And it really is sort of cutting edge, developing week on week, even not month on month. And I think there's a lot of mileage for people getting into this moving forward. And hopefully this has answered a lot of the questions that people might have had around your platform, and they've got a real insight into what you can do, how you do it, and how that can be delivered. So I think based on that, I'll just check if there's any more questions. No questions. So no questions. So I guess, and we've done such a good job, Toby, that nobody had any questions. We fulfilled.
That's definitely it. That's definitely it. But if there are any questions, someone suddenly thinks, damn, I wish I'd asked something at the time, drop us an email and get in touch with Dave and DVS.
Definitely.
And we can definitely do a follow-up.
So again, you can use the webinar@dvs.co.uk email address, or if you're on YouTube or watching this on YouTube, then comment on the YouTube video and we'll get back to you on there. We do answer the comments. Other than that, I think we'll leave you all to it. Stay safe, stay tuned, stay subscribed, and we'll see you very soon for another webinar. So from me and Toby,
thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Have a great weekend.
Cheers. Bye-bye now. Bye.